Perseverance is not a long race. It's many short races, one after the other. Walter Elliot. My friends, each and every day, 10 to 15 minutes, that's all we ask. Persevere day after day. You can do this, and I'm happy to tell you, everything is moving in the directions that our charts have been telling us since last week on the S&P 500, when we saw things topping the week before. And of course, we saw average volume there on the week where things started to slow down, came off the highs. We had a spinning top. We told you we'd seen those before, and then the market took off again. But last week, as it started, of course, we had a red down candle. We had average volume. This week, same direction, down for the day, 1.16%. Most of you probably heard that Michael Burry had shorted yesterday, both the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, and he did so with good reason. He was reading the charts, watching the volume. So we see that prices below the two-day on the two-day chart below the weekly trend line, and on the half-day chart below the weekly trend line down in the morning, further down in the afternoon, down 1.16% for the day. Same thing on the NASDAQ 100. It also is heading down, not quite as much as the S&P, 1.06%, but again, we saw the same kind of thing happen with average volume. Now, we had been average volumed here, again, topping out around the same spot and then rolling over. As we look at things, we see again, well, now why are we not seeing our trend line on these other charts? I tell you what, when this happens, what I a lot of times will do is I will remove it. I'll go back over here. I will pick the ray again. I will set it up. Let's set it up down here, and we will draw it. Then we'll place it. I don't know what's happening here, but now we got it. Now you can see it. If that happens, just erase it and redraw it to get it back on your charts. And again, we see below on the two-day and the weekly charts, we see we're below the weekly trend line in price. We can see some indecision in the morning on the NASDAQ, dropping down in the afternoon, just skirting right along that weekly trend line on the two-day. So we'll keep an eye on things, but going in the right direction. And of course, what did we tell you to jump into as far as following this down? Well, of course, if you've taken our training on puts, that is on options made simple, the Charting Wealth Way, our three-part series available at any of the three levels of Patreon support. You get that for free, teaching you how to start practice trading options. But of course, if you don't want to do options or don't know how to do options, PSQ, that is the ProShares inverse, single inverse fund for the NASDAQ 100. And look at that. As the NASDAQ is going down, PSQ is going up. That's what an inverse fund is all about. And you might say, Tom, is there one for the S&P? Yes, there is. It's single inverse. There are others, but I like the single inverses. The fees are not as high as those double and triple leveraged. I don't get into that. I'm happy just to make money the smart way. So I encourage you to practice trade these. See how you like them, how you do in your practice trades. And you can see the price is attractive. It's not costing you several $100s. And of course, when you start getting good, you can always buy a couple of 3 shares, 2 fractional trade as we call it. That is a low dollar amount, testing yourself to see if you really know what you are doing. So those are 2 of the short funds that you could find yourself in right now as we see the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 rolling over. Now, what about 20-year bonds down 0.61%? We saw things sort of sliding sideways yesterday, but dropping over today. Look at this weekly trend line and look at the two-day well below it, half-day well below it. And on the weekly chart, look at all that volume where the down move really started. Decent volume above average last week too. So keep your eye on that. We are short. There is a short fund to own bonds. TBT, Tango Bravo no, Tango Bravo TBF, sorry, Tango Bravo Foxtrot. There we go, I knew that wasn't right. And of course, what's it been doing? It's been going up as bonds have been going down. Isn't that beautiful, going into the third week? So let's move on to gold. Gold also moving down, 0.27%. Of course, we saw where gold leveled out after 3 weeks of an attempt to move up. Saw this doji and then things rolling over. Volume didn't help us out a lot. We didn't hit anywhere up near the average or high volume. So not doing a lot for us, but gold going in the direction of the Heiken Ashi candlesticks and the trend line. Lastly, we go to Bitcoin. Again, what a crappy trend line. Almost flat. Doesn't do too much for us at all. Bitcoin was down a little bit for the day, 0.46%. And again, on the 2-day and the half-day, just tracking below it. Not much to see from Bitcoin at this point. We will be watching, waiting, seeing if it's going to take off again in an up direction or start crashing. Don't know which way it's going to go. What we've seen, of course, at the start of this year, we saw things bump up, slide sideways and down, bump up again, sideways and down, bump up again, and now sideways and down. If it keeps going the way it's been going, it'll bump up again. The only problem is if it bumps up like it did last time to pretty much the high and then rolled over, doesn't do a whole lot for you jumping in, does it? So we'll watch, wait and see, and hope that Bitcoin becomes more trackable as it was in the not too distant past. God bless, my friends. Thanks so much for being with us. Always love to hear from you. CW@chartingwealth.com. Be sure to subscribe and like our video.